everybody. All right, so everybody, give us thumbs up if you hear Wolverines versus Bulldogs, James. So James, Jay, are you a Michigan fan or what?
I am one of 3 children to attend the University of Michigan.
So Michigan is in the playoff, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, playing Georgia.
Oh, they've already announced it.
Yeah.
And Alabama, they get into?
So it's Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, Georgia.
I tell you, man, have a freaking 16-team playoff. For the love of God, it kills me. Every time the SEC gets 2 bids, every single time, drives me up the wall. And everyone's like, well, the SEC is the best. Look at all the championships. Because they always have 2 teams competing for the championship. Drives me up the wall, man. No one else does. That's crazy. Anyway. And then the Lions won today, Jay. You saw that?
Yeah, I did see that. I'm not a follower. I've never been a follower of the Lions. No. I'm no participant in that heartache. No.
Do you follow NFL at all, or just college?
I'm a lifetime Dallas Cowboys fan.
Gotcha.
So, there's been a rare autumn for me that usually at this time of the year, both my teams are dead. But now this year is that strange year where both my teams are actually doing pretty well.
So what's the Michiganers? Was it Michiganders? Is that how we say it?
Yeah, Michiganders. That's right.
So are you guys just thinking no way you're gonna beat Georgia or what?
No, I wouldn't think that.
Really? Oh, man, you should see your face. You're like, no, we're gonna take Georgia to the mat. All right, guys.
No, I wouldn't say that either. But I don't think it's gonna. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch Georgia the entire year. I did watch him play Alabama. I would either Nick Saban cast some kind of magic evil spell again, or
Nick Saban has sold his soul to the devil, man, to be to win all these. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way around that.
They ran circles around Georgia.
It was crazy.
I mean that was not competitive at all.
No,
I mean I was not watching intently, but every time I looked up, I'm like, these guys were running wide open, and so.
Crazy. And Alabama should never have been there because Auburn should have beat them.
But, yeah, that's why I say that. That's why I'm saying Nick Saban's evil spell. Maybe it was like he and Belichick, some weird Thursday night, at 3 a.m. around something.
They got some seance with a Freemasons or something like that. They're all going, ooh, doing their, or it was the Stonecutters Club. I don't know if you ever followed Simpsons. You ever follow Simpsons?
Yeah, that's right.
The Stonecutters, remember with Monty Burns, everybody?
Exactly. It's something like that. Or, a long time ago, there used to be, well, I'm not sure if you read it, but, it's like the 3 witches meeting around the kettle for Macbeth. It's like Tom Brady's probably like in there with him going, oh my god. So you can see the sign in the back. I've got these little signs in back here. You can't see because it's cut off, but
yeah, put it, yeah, right, okay.
So actually this is my Michigan
please excuse me, game day. Oh boy.
So this stays up for the next couple of weeks anyway.
Well, I got a bunch of Roll Tide on here. Everyone's bandwagon fan, that's for sure. Roll Tide. And I guess someone's saying Georgia's already favored by 7.5. Well, I think Georgia was favored pretty heavily against Alabama, too, and that didn't do anything. I actually went to the Falcons Tampa Bay Buccaneers game today, Jay, and saw Tom Brady just maul the Falcons, just tore them apart. I was like, man, it's all about the offensive line, man. All about the offensive line. And they could not lay a paw on Tom Brady. And that guy's having Tom Brady sitting there in the pocket just picked him apart. It's just so frustrating. All right. Well, let's talk about how do you want to start? So we already got some questions on here, but what do you want to start with, Jay? You go into what you think, and we'll just go from there if that works okay. Oh, you're on mute again. You're on mute. There you go. Right on. All right, gotcha.
Look, I thought that where we would start is first with the immediate deadlines. Deadlines. So December 7th is Medicare, right? You can change your Part D plan. You can change your Medicare Advantage plan. I'll summarize the book real quick for you. Rather than try, as you know, the Medicare card by itself, someone or someone in your community will have the red, white, and blue card by itself. This is not to be what I would suggest, simply for the reason of the fact that the red, white, and blue card doesn't include prescriptions. In addition to that, the red, white, and blue card by itself has no out-of-pocket maximum. So again, this means 20, you're only responsible for 20%. But if the bill is $10 billion, 20% of $10 billion is still $2 billion. In other words, and for that alone, we can talk about the commercials and politics and the company shouldn't this or company shouldn't that. None of that stuff matters compared to the idea that at least Medicare Advantage puts a cap on your out-of-pocket maximum. So it doesn't matter what and I know that doesn't, the fragments we get in the news and the fragments you get in website, YouTube videos, including my channel, et cetera, there are these fragments. It's not quite sufficient because it's giving you a good fragment, maybe. And I'm not going to debate here every single fragment that you see on YouTube, but it certainly doesn't give you the cohesive picture. You need to keep the big picture in mind before you get distracted by headlines or sound bites or hot takes, things like that. And we live in hot take nation. I get all that. You and I aren't going to change that, right? But that for me is number one.
All right. So you got December 5th. Is that what you said?
December 7th.
7th. Okay.
Right. So just days away.
Pearl Harbor Day. Okay, gotcha. So so that's it's literally on Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's the last day for open enrollment for Part C or supplemental policies. Is that what you're saying?
For Medicare Advantage as well as Part D, the standalone prescription plan.
Gotcha. Okay.
You get a second bite of the apple during Q1.
Okay.
If you are a policy owner of Medicare Advantage, you get to change again during Q1.
Okay.
But this is why you don't let December 7th slide by.
Okay.
Because you can't newly enroll in January.
Okay.
You must be an existing
Medicare
Advantage policy owner. So that's it's like these little subtle points. It's kind of like but these little subtle points do make a difference. They make a big difference.
That's why I need someone to walk it through. How would anyone know this? It's nuts. All right, gotcha. So
we're not gonna again. There's like a limit to the stuff that Jay and Josh can do.
Yeah.
Right. We can try to help tell everybody things about these points. And I'm going to keep telling people these things, and I already know for sure that out of all of your viewers, out of all of my viewers and subscribers and this, that, and the other, is every single person going to call me? No, of course not. They're not. But if someone's a little bit better off, then we've done, kind of what we've set out to do. More to the point here probably is, December 15th. This is the individual health insurance pre-Medicare deadline. Now, it's being publicized as January 15th. This for me is it's not wrong, but it's certainly not complete. Because January 15th is the last day that you can enroll so that you are effective January 1.
Okay.
So January 16th, I'm going to tell you, you're not effective until February 1, leaving all of January uncovered. So while you can enroll on January 17th, it won't be effective on December 17th. It will not be effective until February. So December 15th is the day that you need to focus on. And that's the critical part. And then, I'm going to let you drive in the sense of, you can get a good sense of the cost, the premium, and how to manage the advanced premium tax credit. We get a lot of inquiries of all different age divisions. And it's for the persons who have their eyes wide open, there are a number of steps. I'm not going to kid anyone, but the financial result is absolutely worth it because literally, like I said, we deal with this every day. It doesn't matter what the family size or ages are. Family of 4 in Phoenix, taking early retirement, well, persons in their 50s. People need to remember that the Affordable Care Act is actually an income test, not a means test.
No.
And what that means is that if you can drive down your taxable income strategically, you literally can get health insurance at zero.
Yep, what I'm saying.
Right? But what ends up happening, people say, well, I have 401ks, they've got IRAs, and even though I'm taking early retirement, let's call yourself 57, 58, 59, you think, okay, I can't get the subsidy. I have got to pay full freight, full sticker for health insurance. That's actually not the case. That's actually not the case, which is a huge thing because this has totally changed people's retirement timeline entirely. And I know you spend a lot of time, Josh, on your videos to say, can I afford to retire at a particular age? Can I afford to retire with X dollars or Y dollars given my circumstance? The reality is that, you've been so good about, including me because I'm throwing this extra fact in here, which is that this input is so big that it adds on to all of your videos when you're checking this stuff out. Because now what used to be minus $800 a month per person can go down to minus $100 a month per person. The way you look at the world has changed.
And they don't teach this in financial planning school. That's what I always tell people. Say the financial planning we're doing now isn't the same financial planning that that was ever around. It just wasn't because of this opportunity. So Jay, just so quick. So for exchange, it's December 15th is when the enrollment needs to be done. Does it have to have some kind of you quit your job? I mean, is there I know there's some rules that says you can't enroll unless something happens. You lost insurance or something like that, or am I not understanding that?
No, it's a good question because there are going to be all sorts of different people with different backgrounds. So everyone is December 15th. Anyone, no reason. You don't need a reason.
Okay, gotcha.
If you lose your employment, you have special enrollment rights throughout the year.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean you should sit on your thumbs, but if you know how to look, then you'll be able to get the choice between COBRA, for example, as well compared to the Affordable Care Act.
Okay.
So, for example, I just brought up this person's in Arizona. Literally, they're considering COBRA. That instance is $2,500 a month. And the person's rightfully pointed out that, yes, we've got high healthcare costs, but our out-of-pockets are not any $2,500 a month, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, their rational choice is to save themselves as a household $2,000 a month. They pay away intentionally $500 a month on out-of-pocket costs because they do have needs. But this is just a question of working through the numbers. There's not really a shortcut. The websites, our tool to give you an estimate is a first step.
Yeah, right.
In terms of figuring out, okay, now I need to actually flip over the rocks more aggressively to figure out whether or not this fits, my house.
Okay. Yeah, right on. All right, good. All right, so we got a couple of D days here for both Medicare and for ACA. All right, what else? Well,
I think what you're seeing is part of the reason that this is becoming so, predominant is that the overwhelming observation I would have about the Affordable Care Act is what used to the explosion of plans.
Yeah,
we've got new carriers, names you won't recognize, that are viable, as well as the big national carriers entering new locations. And I can understand, people would just say, well, I feel wildly overwhelmed, for example. And that is natural, right? They see, for example, over 100 plans.
Yeah, right.
Easily. But the flip side is that it just gives you an idea about how fragmented healthcare delivery is. And I mean, the reality is, Josh, and some person's writing, a slingshot away from your house is among the most complicated in the US. Actually, you don't necessarily know where is complicated or not, but I can just tell you firsthand that Georgia people pre-Medicare have a dickens of a time because of the fact that Dr. X belongs to this sub network and doesn't belong to that sub network. And so fitting, a family of 4 people and all the different doctors, that can be some tough stuff. Yep. So the tools will help you, but then again, to nail it down, does take a little bit of work, which is why the advanced preparation, sit here beating this dead horse, not to delay, because there are a number of different steps. It's not literally just point and click.
Right.
And then, sign yourself up, because we know it's going to happen. You're going to go to a doctor. We don't take this insurance. And, of course, Jay's to blame. That's
or even worse, the hospital takes it, but the doctor within that hospital doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
We've got a number of these combinations. This is starting to fade to some degree, because what ends up happening, right, is the doctors now sitting, for the most part, or increasingly so, as basically employees of the hospital systems, right? So university sponsored hospital with, primary care satellite, 3 towns away or an hour away, this kind of thing. But it does mean that you do have to do a few extra steps. There's no question about that. So complicated, but like I said, at $2,000 a month, at $800 a month per person for a couple considering retirement, that sounds like it's worth it.
No. I mean, what I always look at is like, look, how much time does it take to uncomplicate it by either talking to you or doing some just grunt work? I mean, if it takes you, let's say 8 hours, all right, you save $20,000 a year.
Exactly.
I don't have to tell you how much that is per hour, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
And that's for me, probably the craziest thing is and I've had this conversation, I've made these comments in the past, is that when you compare the number of hours so this 8 hours that you pointed out, well, people use 30 hours in looking at diversified equity fund 1 versus diversified equity fund 2, of which the difference between the first decile and the 10th decile in, for example, like government bond fund, is what, 0.1% between the first and 10th decile. And so when you back out versus the money, it's not close, but yet to use time in this way.
And people it is frustrating. I mean, no other way around that. I mean, because they don't know what they don't know. It's kind of frustrating, but I get that. I literally do. But I actually, my email of introducing people to this meeting we're having today, I said, man, just, stop with your fantasy football for 20 seconds.
I had to shut mine off. I was a little bummed. It's fine. You must be pretty important here, Josh. I interrupted my fantasy football glaring here.
Well, I tell you, man, that's that's why I don't do fantasy football, because I know how addictive that stuff can be.
My goodness. Yeah.
All right, crazy. Good. So we got some time constraints. You want to introduce that Health Sherpa tool, or what do you want to do?
Sure, I can do that now. I'm not sure how we share and stuff like that. I can do that. Absolutely. I'd be happy to bring people through.
I think,
let's just see how we can do this. I know how to share if I am the person sharing, but let's just see. Let's see what we do.
Jay, try it.
I can. No, okay. I can absolutely do it. Yep.
Cool.
So let's just go to it.
Because I know on Zoom I got to make you the thing, but here I don't.
No, I understand. Yep, I think that Yep, I mean, obviously this is my favorite book here. The favorite book that I've written. I can't call it my favorite.
I screwed up. There we go. All right, I just screwed up. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. Are you still there, Jay?
I'm still here.
Okay, cool. I just removed you by accident. Okay, good.
No problem.
All right, so cool. And
so the I thought what I would do, you can see the link, and I'm not sure, Josh. What I'm going to do is I'm going to. I guess I can only private chat.
All right,
so I've just sent you the link, and you can let it rip to the viewing public.
Cool. Let me post the link to Jay's book. And as I said in my email today, if you haven't bought his book, buy the book for heaven's sake, and buy the the paperback, the hard copy as opposed to the Kindle. Is it even on Kindle, Jay?
It will be, but I would say that overwhelmingly people like the paperback so they can write little notes. Absolutely. Like draw a big circle to the part that, because there's so many facts in here in this book because the number of situations basically on this. And also, Josh, there's one other thing that I thought, especially that some of your persons would like, is the free newsletter has an add-on which allows other access to other videos, other things that I don't say in public.
Okay, cool.
If you buy the book, pre-order the book, and you send me the receipt just to say, hey, Jay, I bought the book, pre-ordered it, I'm going to add you to the paid version of the Substack for the first year for $0.
Cool.
Which is an extra $20. So the book is $15. You get $20 for free for the first year for the pre-order. So a lot of people have taken advantage of that. I think it's worth it, because inside of the paid portion, for example, is on YouTube, people want to get their Medicare information in 10 minutes.
Yep.
I have 9 videos of something like 13 hours of different aspects of. In other words, I just don't think it can be done in 10 minutes.
Well, it shouldn't be done.
Anyway, if we go back to Health Sherpa, this is
Jay, real quick along those lines. I did a video the other day about how you can pay literally no taxes in retirement planning, just understanding how Social Security works. Some guy says this video is too long. I said, well, if it's too long, a 20-minute video to save hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on taxes. I don't know what to tell you, buddy, but I told him I'll refund your money. By the way, not only is it too long, it's flipping free. But I guarantee that guy is sitting there watching whatever. But I just sit there. I said, "This is 20 minutes is too long." Healthcare, 20 minutes of healthcare ain't too long, man. Jeez.
Not at this payoff structure.
Right. Hey,
not at this payoff structure.
Right. All right. You're right on, man. Could not agree more. So I just posted the links to your Substack, and just real quick, guys, in case you can't see the comments, it's JOJAEOH.substack.com. Sign up for his newsletter. And Denise says she pre-ordered your book, Jay, so that's good. And then I put link to the Health Sherpa thing, and we'll make sure we put the links in the comment section when we're done here. If you're on Rumble, all those links are in the chat as well. So just as an FYI. All right.
What this does is it's just give how easy the form is. You can put your zip code in here. I'll just go through it.
Yep.
Let's just use Chicago just because it's in the middle of the United States. And then you'll see you don't even have to put your name and stuff. It's going to come to me. It's going to come to us. We'd be happy. The reality is we're going to send you one email to say, hey, if you want private assistance, let us know. But we're not going to call you. The candid reality is we're too busy to call. Yeah. And the number of people who actually pick up calls is almost zero. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. But we're certainly there to answer private questions. If you see there, so you just press, you can see if you can qualify for a subsidy. I blew up the size.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And then what ends up happening is you're just putting in facts about your household. So you can see, let's just put it 59 as male. You can add a spouse. Let's just call her 59 as well. And then you can have your dependents. Now, you can have your child on your health insurance through the age of 26. Up to the age of 26. And here's your thing that you don't find in print very much. If this is the case and you do not qualify, you still may want to apply using healthcare.gov. And the reason is that, let's say your 25-year-old turns 26 in July. If they used healthcare.gov, they can keep it through the calendar year. If they went off marketplace, they cannot keep it through the calendar year. So we've got all these subtle little points here, Josh, which are complicated, but I just wanted to add that in here because you have some pretty good, the questions that your crowd has sent to me in the past, pretty detailed. You should be pretty happy with them. So you've done well in terms of getting certain details out. But let's just take a look at a female, 24 years old.
All right.
You add here tobacco, pregnant. Now, here, what this means is if you're receiving any of these sources, you cannot get the subsidy.
Right. Yep.
Okay. So you cannot. Now, let's be for persons who are new. When I call it the subsidy, I need to be real clear. This is a tax credit, income tax credit that you are pulling forward in advance and applying it to your monthly health insurance premium. Right? It's more convenient and understandable to call it a subsidy. I get all that. But what ends up happening is that little few moments that I used, it goes to tell you about all the different ripple effects into your world and my world, Josh, right? Which is distributions from your mutual fund into non-qualified accounts. That's taxable income. Since we're making a tax claim here, these are not unrelated. They are exactly related. Right? There's no shortcut to this. Persons who have taken a big capital gains distribution taken a big distribution from their IRA or 401k in order to buy a second home. For example. Right? So what ends up happening is too many persons with brokerage X, and then just, hey, what are the impact? Can you just hold the taxes over there, at inception, et cetera, thinking that's it, it's over. It's not over because now you pay the second tax, and now your effective tax rate has ballooned, right? Because in addition to the capital gains tax in addition to that, you're also paying higher health insurance, which is the same difference.
Right.
Money's fungible. So, and those are the same things. But anyway, if we just continue on here. So maybe all of your, my audience does not know this. Maybe your audience does. So, so anyway, here we go. If we just keep going, you'll see to continue. And what will end up happening is you'll start adding people here. And now this can be right, because if you have a 25-year-old, but filing taxes separately, that's not a number here. That's not 3. Right? In other words, if this 24-year-old had a full-time job, just happened to be living at their parents' home, and is filing taxes separately, they're not 3.
Right.
This number is 2. And so really the takeaway here is this can be more subtle than people believe. You could have a full-time college student living away. So you have these other points here because your tax credit is based on the combination of your location, your income, your household size, your tax household size.
The taxed household size, right? So if you're kids filing on their own, they're not part of your household from a tax household size.
Correct. Correct. Which isn't necessarily negative, because if it's a 24-year-old who's living at home who makes, let's just call it $30,000, their health insurance is going to be $100.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
That we should not. I'm giving you these exceptions, but these exceptions should not always be taken as negative.
100%. Absolutely. And by the way, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. You see what I'm saying?
It is what it is. Right, exactly. So what ends up happening, and the reason I slow down a lot of times when I talk about exceptions, is people get discouraged. They say, oh, exceptions. Oh, this means extra stuff, extra work I need to do, extra things I need to consider. And what they end up throwing it straight into the bin. Yep. They give up at that point. Well, what you've given up is something that actually helped the 24-year-old much more, for example. So that can absolutely be the case. Let's just continue on here. So and I'm just going to make up a number here. And you'll see how subtle it can be. So let's just use $50,000 just as a number. Chicago, that's not going to get you very far. People know this, but you can see, and now you can see it, right? This is a month times 12.
Right.
Month.
Yep. A month. Exactly.
A month.
That's real money. That's real money.
So this is $17,000 a year. So in other words, it's way bigger. So expanding the Affordable Care Act here is much, much bigger than the subsidy check, $600 or however much it was. And you can see, in addition to the premium dropping, which is clear and obvious, this second gold little medallion here, cost sharing reduction, it pushes down the deductible and out-of-pocket maximum and the copays here inside the plan. So what happens is you've got a garden variety plan, silver plan, and then all those numbers, depending on what level of savings you get, they're going to put a black marker across the deductible. And now what was it for an individual? A $2,500 deductible is a $750 deductible. The out-of-pocket maximum, $8,700, now all of a sudden becomes $3,000 out-of-pocket maximum. So you'll want to concentrate on these silver plans at the minimum, even if that meant you buy a more expensive version of the silver plan.
Okay.
Because only the silver plans get you these extra features that you see here.
So I'm clear. So the bronze don't give you that. The silver does.
And gold does not.
Oh, okay. So silver is a place to start with, generally speaking.
Especially if your combination gets this cost sharing reduction.
Oh, so not everybody gets that cost sharing.
That is correct. Oh. So in other words, you'll see, and it's a very good question. So let's just back up and you'll see it quickly. So now let's just change this to 75,000. And we've done that. And yes, you can see first a couple of things. Number one, you'll want to see how carefully you'll want to do this.
Yeah.
And again, you do want to put an estimate.
Yeah.
You want to put an estimate, but you want to try to be careful. Because this is not a small difference. Right? 300 times. So this is $4,000 difference here. Right. So out of the 20, so what we moved the 25,000, we've moved the health insurance premium by 4 of the 1,000 out of the 25.
Yep.
We did 16%, 4 divided by 25, which is a lot, right? So I mean, I don't think $4,000 nominally is a lot of money. So you can see it, but now you can see also here.
Yep.
You do not see this extra feature about cost sharing.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. And that means the out-of-pocket are higher.
Your deductible is going to be higher. Your out-of-pocket maximum is going to be higher. All the little details here are going to be higher.
Whoa, that's huge, man.
So this is why I'm sitting up here on this soapbox, right? Which is that, Jay's just droning on because I'm Chicken Little. Not really. This is the numbers back what I'm saying up.
You're not drawing it on because you're Chicken Little. You're drawing on, you're a Michigan fan, but right. So just Jay, just real quick. So you increased your income by 25,000. You reduced your credits by 4. So and just right out the gate, you're only up 21,000.
Right.
And on top of that, you still have to pay tax on the full 25,000 for FICA, for income tax, and on top of that, you have higher out of pockets, higher deductibles, and all.
If you require health care.
Yeah.
In those instances. So you can see how much the balance can move around. Because let's just say, for example, and you'll see when we get to the plans, that I didn't say that you always then choose a silver plan either.
Right.
I won't make that statement either. Let's go back.
Well, someone said that she gets a platinum plan in New York for nothing because her income is low, or he. So, I mean, that, obviously, I don't know but I mean, that would probably be a guy who doesn't choose the silver plan, right? Because
it is possible. It is possible. But even then, we'll just take a look at it. That is possible in New York, depending on the plan, presuming the other parts fit, meaning that you've checked out doctors and hospitals.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. 100%. Absolutely. No, right.
So let's just take a look here. And this is back to the $50,000.
Yeah.
So you can see that they get these different cost sharing reductions. Let's just look at the plans.
Okay.
So in the interest of time, I'm not going to answer that. This is now pretty robust, meaning that a lot of the doctors are in here. In other words, you can see a lot of different. This information here has improved a lot on this location.
And if they're in here, that means they are accepting of ACA patients, right? Is that?
Sure. You won't find many plans that say, I won't take any.
Okay. Gotcha.
You will find some. Like in Georgia, certain. At the end of this, let's make sure that we talk about healthcare providers. But so you can see, you can add your doctors and hospitals. Let's skip this step. And you can see the same thing for prescriptions. So you can see.
Okay, gotcha. What's Simvast?
The simvastatin, which is a, very commonly. So you'll see simvastatin is very, very a generic oral tablet. So which is the generic for Zocor a long time ago. So let's just continue.
Okay.
And up will come all the plans. So this is again, Illinois, 134 plans.
No, but this is just solely for that Chicago zip code. If you're in Springfield, Illinois, it could be a lot different, right?
It's not going to be that much different.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's still going to be a lot.
Okay.
Still going to be a lot. Yep. So you can see a couple of things here is that you can do the scaling and you can see how, so these are not misprints. That's your household and that is your health insurance premium for the family. $3 a month.
Crazy.
And the thing here is and people say, okay, well, this is bad insurance. Right. And what people call bad insurance for me is not really the correct terminology. Is if I'm Mr. and Miss Perfect and Mr. Perfect Jr., and I need every dollar for food, guess what is the completely rational choice? To drive down this premium every bit you can.
Absolutely.
Because its financial function to your household, is just to establish this out-of-pocket maximum, which is $8,600.
Just like Medicare Advantage, Jay. The same thing.
Correct. Yep. I'm trying to establish a place where the bills stop.
Yep, 100%.
And if I get to do that for $36 a year,
a year,
a year,
and I can still eat. Yeah, let's be realistic here. That's not a bad place to start.
And this is why I don't like the narrative generally about mudslinging and Jay's a snake oil salesperson. The insurance company's trying to rip me off. This, that, and the other. It's the ex-president's fault. It's the president require, whatever, politics, etc. $36 a year to put a limit on your household's downside at $8,600.
Yep, 100%.
If you were trying to get a lower doctor's office visit price, you're asking for a coupon. You're not asking for insurance, right? Insurance is an option to try to put a cap on this maximum.
And 100%. That's the whole point of insurance. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? In other words, when people, or it didn't cover my, it did not cover my doctor's visit to the specialist. That is the person not assigning the right function and expectation at that price point.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? But yet what ends up happening is that person had the wrong expectation. They go to their, church, fellowship or whatever, and then, they go to the bar, etc., or their family gathering or whatever, and they say, okay, well, my insurance company doesn't pay anything. If that wasn't its function, we're discussing something that, on the wrong topic.
Yep.
But let's just continue on. So you'll see a couple of things. So let's just, I'll point out a number of things. Number one is you can see the number of carriers here in the left-hand column. Like I said, this is a lot more.
Yeah, look at that. It's crazy.
And there are going to be new names that some people don't recognize.
Yeah, like who's Better or whatever that's. I never heard of that.
Well, and I'm glad we brought up this one because I will address this one. You might think that this is Better is nobody, but its parent is the 24th largest company in the Fortune 500.
Really?
It could buy Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois 100 times over without blinking. So people need to understand that, what is actually going on.
Well, what's the company? What company?
Centene.
Say again?
Centene, Centene.
Wow.
Which is basically through M&A bought a large number of Medicare carriers.
Interesting.
So WellCare for Medicare persons owned by the same parent as Better. So this is not some, Jay and Josh's, insurance shack.
It's not the general auto insurance. You know what I'm talking about? The general? They have those advertisers up there?
Yeah, exactly. This isn't, right? And even, and these other carriers have been very productive in calling up doctors and hospitals. More in surprising ways, I would say. That all said, you have to vet. I mean, don't get me wrong. All I'm just saying is when the Affordable Care Act started, there were this idea of, hey, we're going to have this new innovation by all these companies. Well, yeah, they innovated, but they innovated at the wrong price because they didn't have their math right. And they went out of business. Basically, none of them exist today. Virtually none, literally, because their math was wrong. The guys with the fancy pocket protectors got used to the math. And now, not surprisingly, now that they have an idea on how to calculate, they came back in.
Yeah.
That completely explains 7 carriers, and you can see it down here at the bottom.
Yep.
That includes the nation's largest health insurance carrier.
United
Healthcare, a new entrant into affordable care marketplace plans this year.
It's crazy.
So now you can see my point. And this, my whole thing about, false credit and false blame. This is not credit to President Obama either. The guys who love the Affordable Care Act are going to take false credit. The fact that it was a problem before, this was also not that president's fault either. It's just, these guys, they don't care who's president.
Right. They just want to get paid. You know what I'm saying?
They want to have a number that they can estimate. They know that there's going to be error. They don't want to be crushed if they're wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
And they need to be able to compete with those other guys because all those other guys are plenty smart competitors.
Well, it's just like the long-term care insurance business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if you remember Penn Treaty. They're basically giving away the store. They gave away the store. Now there's no such thing as Penn Treaty. I mean, I think there actually is, but they're not in the market.
Agreed. That is what's happened to long-term care insurance as a whole. Correct.
Yeah. And here's Bruce says Centene's got $112 billion of revenue. So that ain't some fly-by-night concern there. That's for dogs.
No. So on we go. You can see what ends up happening. So let's just go to. I will show you.
Does it say put the silver plan in there, Jay? Does it say?
Yeah. So we'll see. So what happens? You can filter, but let's just go to a silver plan. You can see all these different filterings.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right on, sweet.
But let's go to silver for the moment.
Now you can do whatever you want. I just wanted to
sure, for sure. But in the interest of time, so you can see in silver. So let's just find a plan. So let's just call it Bright. Yeah. So this is Bright Healthcare, which is a new entrant. But the premium for the family is $300 a year.
But look at the deductible.
A month. Yeah. The deductible is $2,000.
Yeah, it went way down.
$69.50. Now, let's just remember this plan. Silver $2,000.
Okay, so $300, $2,000, and $69.50. Gotcha.
Okay, so now let's just see what happens to this household when it's $75,000.
Ooh,
you can do it.
Yeah, right on. Look at the freaking premiums already jumping through the roof.
So now you can see it. The silver 2,000 no longer exists.
Oh,
it's now silver 4,000.
So 2,000 deductible. Okay, gotcha.
So you can see the degree to which, when you had the cost sharing reduction, not only changed the premium, but it also changed your financial liability for the deductible.
And your out-of-pocket max too is higher. I think I said $8,700.
Correct. So this is why people want to be pretty careful. Two things. Yeah. To be careful here, right? You can't just randomly put in some number here. You're making a statement to the IRS.
Yeah, what I'm saying. Yeah. Yep.
And in addition to that, but by that same token, I don't tell people, you should go get what's yours. If you're entitled to it, those aren't my rules. You can go and get it.
Yep.
So in that way, you've got to be careful with these forms here as you fill them out, but how much it can be worth it. The last comment that I would have here is about what the person said about the platinum plan.
Okay.
Because you can see you don't have platinum here. New York is a state specific where this will not work. So what happens in certain states, they have their own exchanges. And, I'm affiliated with many of these exchanges, even on, in a very painstaking exercise. I have permission on individual states. So someone can check with us over here. But what ends up happening is you can see silver versus gold. And let's just take a look at a gold plan.
Silver and gold. Silver and gold. No, that's from Jay?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
And Jay, you are a man of sophistication, sir. You are a sophisticated guy.
Burl Ives, how's that?
Yes. Hey, these young whippersnappers, they don't know nothing.
You can see what happens here. We are at a gold. We're going to get to a gold plan soon.
Wow. Yeah.
Just hold on. When we get to the 50,000. So now we're at gold. But you can see what has happened. Since it has no CSR, The out-of-pocket maximums back up to $8,700.
Yeah.
Right? And so while the deductible is lower,
look at that.
The premium went from $300 to $7. This is $6,000 a year more.
Yeah.
That you're paying with certainty, right? Because you have to pay the premium. Whereas if you're Mr. Perfect, so this is what I'm saying about good insurance.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Bad insurance. Okay, well, in this instance, the generic answer here is I keep $480 in my pocket. Right? I didn't say go and incinerate it every month. But if you stashed it away, it has more than made up for the deductible.
100%. Yeah.
Right? Because that went from $2,000 to $750. So you're worse off by $1,250. Yeah. But you're better off. So unless you're certain, so this becomes the question, okay, which insurance is best, which insurance is, for the particular situation.
And which do you need? I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not in the camp to overbuy insurance on a premium point of view, because you are basically prepaying under the assumption that you are certainly going to require healthcare service.
100%.
And if you're just a coin flip, let's just say that it's purely random, 100% random, let's just say, then I'm in the camp as a financial planning person, as a math of money person, as the logic of what is going on here. I tell persons, we are trying to drive this down.
Yep. I completely agree.
I didn't say give up your doctor. We've got to work with, I didn't say, and then you decide, okay, is this a doctor that I depend on? A person that is in my history? Or is this a doctor because, I went on the internet and clicked?
Yeah.
Because if it's number two, I can find a replacement.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's a doctor that's been my family counsel for decades, okay, then we've got to think about that, and then how much different premium that actually means. Because you can see this is a non-zero number.
Yeah.
Right. $480 a month times 12, right, is a lot. That's $4,200 basically. More than that.
Yeah, it's gonna be like almost 6,000, like 5,500, something like that.
So you've got to. So this is what. But you can see how powerful this tool is.
And just real quick, guys, that's why actually it's hard to encourage Roth conversions in these scenarios. I mean, if you're doing a Roth conversion, say $50,000 a year, and it's going to cost you $20,000 a year for those taxes, just for simplicity, it's maybe $15,000, and it's going to cost you an extra $5,000, $6,000 a year for health insurance. There's no benefit there.
You can see what has happened. You've got it exactly right, Josh, which is so important.
It's
is that what you have in financial planning world, and I'm actually speaking at an advanced conference in May in Nashville, but you've got these nice snippets which are saying Roth conversion because future tax rates higher, et cetera, and the rationale, if it existed in isolation, may have been fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't exist in isolation. Right.
No,
exactly. Well, that was great when the Earth was flat, except now it's not flat. The distance is no longer what you thought.
We've got to change. It was actually the same kind of thing with the ACA as a whole. I mean, we all could bag on ACA 10 years ago, but now the ACA has improved, and we can yell at Obama or thank Obama. It's irrelevant. That's why I said it all the time.
Completely irrelevant.
Stop the politics. It matters not. It just is what is, and let's.
And then we are trying to find the best solution for a household and what they need, what they can afford.
Yeah,
that's it. Nothing else. I'd like to make one other thing when you said that's about Roth, because it's a very interesting point, which is actually you found here that individual health insurance is a lot more complicated than Medicare.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why there are fewer of me that I can rely on in individual health insurance. Because in addition to the things we've not discussed here, Josh, and we don't want to enter the wormhole, to be candid with you, which is inside here, the networks here are much more fragmented than under Medicare. Medicare is far superior to any of these plans here on as far as networks go. Because Dr. Jones in Duluth, sorry, unless he has a very specific patient body composition, he takes federal Medicare, period. I mean, unless that's like and in addition to that, I'm just going to bring up this one last thing, and then I'm going to make one last point in the interest of time, and then we'll be done. But which is that if you look here, so print here with you. Did I do it right? I did it wrong. I'm pretty sure I've done it wrong.
Not seen anything.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm that's what I'm doing wrong. Well, what
you want me to remove this screen right here?
I'm going to stop this sharing.
There you go.
Okay, so now what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm going to share something else. So I'm going to share.
And we'll get to some of your comments here, guys. So
yeah, absolutely.
This just I wanted Jay to go over the Health Sherpa stuff because I think it's.
Yep. And there's this one last thing here, and
absolutely.
So this is my site from.
Oh, I gotta share. Hold on a second, Jay. There you go.
Okay, so this is the site for Maximize Your Medicare. Down here is the IRMA tax bracket set, and you can see that if possible, that under the Affordable Care Act, very, very complicated, as you saw under Health Sherpa.
Yeah.
But you can see in here, these different brackets are pretty tight.
Yes, exactly.
For the IRMA as well. So this is the IRMA set of brackets for Part B and Part D. And you can see that these brackets here, as you scroll up and down, are pretty narrow. So you've got to be pretty careful if you're going to be consolidating or pulling, fancy financial planning maneuvers. I would just leave it with you there on that.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I say be poor on paper, but also sometimes it makes sense to pull from the Roth too. That's what makes the whole financial planning realm so interesting. Jay, what's very frustrating or actually quite frightening is you say ACA is much more intricate than Medicare. And I'm like, what? Because Medicare is a hell of a lot more intricate than Social Security. Social Security is like rookie league compared to Medicare. And you're saying ACA is even that much worse. I want to take a freaking anvil and drop it on my head and just live under a rock and never come out again. Because that's nuts. But again, we can argue politically. We can, freaking yell at the clouds. Or you can say, let's make sure we have a plan of action
to
get what we need at the least of cost to us.
Exactly.
And no, you're not you, Jay, but the people who say, well, I don't want to be on the government largesse. You're not. You pay for the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? It's the law of the land, man. And so people say, I don't want the subsidies because it's not. No. You just play under the rules that were given to you by Congress and President Obama. And now what's being changed too. You just play with the rules. It's okay. It's not.
Yeah, it's okay. Exactly. People make comments in other different locations. Some of them not very, friendly, et cetera, But I just tell them, look, we're trying to deal with the world as it is.
That's what I'm saying. Also, a lot of people, Jay, you made a great point. I just want to reiterate the accelerated premium tax credit, APTC. You're basically telling the IRS what your income is going to be for next year. And they're giving you an advance on your tax credits under said income.
Correct.
The way Jay explained it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh, they're basically saying, okay, if you make this, we're going to give you this money up front on a monthly basis, essentially.
Right.
And if you make more, you're gonna have to pay it back. And it's just like a monthly bonus based on what you said was your income. And if that income comes out to be true, they'll call that back because they said, no, you made too much than what you initially told us.
If you win the lotto on New Year's Eve, you can expect to pay the entire premium subsidy back.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
You want to answer some questions?
Oh, absolutely. Fire away. I don't see any of the questions because I'm sitting here on the hosting platform, so you're gonna have to call them out.
Yep, right on, man. All right. California has its own covered California plan. They're not on Health Sherpa.
That is correct. So they're going to have their own, similar to these different states, covered California being one, is going to have their own version of the exercise that I went through.
Okay.
If you want our assistance on it, you can just send email to So I'll just send it to you.
Okay. You're sending to the chat thing?
No, I'm sending it to your chat on private chat. Gotcha. You can post it.
Yeah. And go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, put in the subject line Josh's name, and we get sent on some wild goose chases at time.
Yeah, absolutely. So at least your website is what's your website again? You want to put that on the? Okay, cool. Yeah. So put your website. Is that gh2benefits.com?
Well, what I'm saying, the Health Sherpa will link to GH2 benefits anyway, so don't worry about it. I'm not that as concerned about that part. You people can go there certainly.
Well, if they want to contact you, I'm saying
just email on info@gh2benefits.com is the fastest.
Right on. Okay, cool. So I just put his email on there, everybody. And are you still even just on jo.com too? You still got your
Sure. I mean, of course. I mean, there's so many different. I'm just trying to make sure everyone's okay. It's totally fine. There's lots and lots of ways, and everything gets handled by us within 24 hours. It's totally fine.
All right.
But back to California, yes, covered California is there, and there are other sites too. For example, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Just as a couple of examples.
What does a high deductible plan mean? Says Kim. Ask Kim, I should say.
Well, high deductible plan basically is what we were talking about, the $3 version, right? It can be considered like a high deductible plan. A couple of things here. Let's just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to bronze. Let me shut off silver and gold, and I'm going to reshare here just real briefly. So if we take a look at this guy here.
Let me add it to the, hold on a second. There we go. There we go. All right, cool. It's coming up, I think. There we go. Sweet.
So now we've got bronze, but somewhere in here, let's just see, is there something, this one. If you have a high deductible plan, you can see that the state of Illinois has no high deductible plan that meets these criteria on the network.
Okay.
So every state's going to be different, right? Their menus are going to be different. So high deductible generally means that you can open an HSA account, health savings account, which is basically tax health related IRA. Right?
Yes, right.
You need to be careful here. Maximize Your Medicare. I pointed out that you cannot be enrolled in any part of Medicare Part A and Part B and make contributions. Cannot. That means you can't make contributions into the HSA. Your employer cannot make contributions into the HSA if any part of Medicare you're enrolled.
That's Medicare, though.
Medicare.
Right.
For other persons, can it be a place? It's an independent bank account. Yeah. You have to have that type of health insurance. You can independently open an HSA account, and you can deposit money in there on a tax-free basis. You get a deduction straight off the money you just like you would into an individual IRA.
Yep, 100%.
And those accounts, by the way, do allow you to access mutual funds. So while the money is sitting in there, maybe storing for health-related expenses, while it's not being used, can it be invested in markets? The answer is yes, depending on the bank where you're having these accounts.
Can you use the HSA for ACA premiums?
You cannot.
You cannot. Interesting.
Right. Gotcha. There is a list of, it's an IRS, I can't remember the form off the top of my head, but there's a health-related expense list.
Okay. And that gives you a list of, you got your finger chopped off. You can use it for that, but you can't use it for
correct.
Okay. Kim also asked, when the plan says 20% co-insurance, what does that mean? Is that after the high deductible has been paid, or if you meet the high deductible, then you pay no 20% copay? So what does a 20% co-insurance mean regarding high deductible, Jay?
You should presume you are meeting the deductible first.
Okay.
First. So in that high deductible plan, for example, the deductible could be $7,000 and the out-of-pocket maximum be $10,000.
Yeah.
You'd have to be paying the first $7,000. Once you hit $7,000, between $7,000 and $10,000, you would pay 20%. The carrier would pay 80% in that instance. So that's the way. So persons, for example, just to give you some guidelines, if you knew that you were going to face large healthcare costs, you want lower deductibles, all else equal. Why? So that you can start paying a lower percentage using the co-insurance sooner rather than later.
So once you meet the deductible and you go over the so in that case, $7,000 deductible, $10,000 is total out of pocket. Now you're at the $10,000. It's not free, but I mean, after that, there's no 20% co-insurance.
No, that is correct. Once you've hit the out-of-pocket maximum, then there's no further bill.
So I hope that makes sense, Kim. That's very confusing, actually. It took me a while to figure that out. But so you got the premium, you got the deductible, and then you got the out-of-pocket max. And once you hit the out-of-pocket max, the premium stays, but the other stuff doesn't. You still got co-pays and stuff, right, Jay?
Once you've hit the out-of-pocket maximum, that's it.
No co-pays or anything. Oh, okay, good. All right, that's good. It's not good because we don't want you to hit that. Because that means
right, of course.
Kim says, can she make an appointment with you, Jay, even though she's in California? Is that okay to talk to Kim from California?
There's not a fee, certainly at the first look here. Sometimes there's going to be a one-time fee, hours unlimited, which is really just to swat away the wild goose geese. And it's really to do is to optimize the financial end.
Yeah.
The actual helping with identifying the plan, that costs zero. Okay, that costs zero. It is more if there's the other aspects, which are the far more important ones, right? I mean, because reality is if everyone just lined up and said, help me choose a health insurance plan, that would be no problem. But the complication definitely exists when you're trying to balance that with the right premium for the household, your taxes, and because that changes the plan, right? That changes the plan.
And it changes the financial advice. This is
Jay, absolutely.
You can't fly blind in this. And I'm not this is specific to Kim, but you're asking a guy to help you with again, this has nothing to do with Kim, but helping the plan. Jay's like, well, here's a plan. That doesn't mean it. It's kind of like people say, Jay, I got $1 million. Can I retire? I said, I have no clue. I need more. And you're like, here's a plan. What do you think, Jay? I don't know because I need to know more. You know what I'm saying? And as a financial advisor, it's you can't just fly blind and say, yeah, it's a good plan. Go for it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. So, but you do have clients in California, everything, right, Jay?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, secondly, just this is going to sound almost arrogant, but a lot of people say, for my own clients, like, Josh, what happens if something happens to you? I said, I get it. It's just, I'm just a one-man shop. There's no one after me. So it's probably not a bad idea to get to know Jay anyway, if you're a client of mine anyhow, just in case, you know what I'm saying? I mean, my goodness, you can talk to Jay.
For this aspect, it's not a problem. And because we're not, as you already know, you know, I don't suggest anything different. And you're absolutely right. You know, you want to have some aspect of how these interact with each other, Josh. That's just my view. And I don't think we're going back anytime soon, right? Because this is now a tax matter.
Oh yeah. This is significant IRC stuff here, and once it's that ingrained. And by the way, just on a side note too, Jay does have a life insurance as well. So a lot of people say I need some life insurance, and he has annuities. The whole thing. I don't have any of that. So a lot of people say, I have this annuity, you know, can I transfer it to a new one or something like that? I'm not the guy for that. So someone like Jay would be a good place to start in that regard, because he is an insurance license. I don't know. Are you
sure?
Most, like, your license here in Georgia, presumably?
Yes. Okay. So that's not a problem. You know, those are, and certainly, you know, people have asked me in that sense, you know, a la carte, very simple, where I'm not involved in. If I'm not on the entire plan, let's say, for example, Josh, that's your financial planning client, I'm not interfering on that process. Well, I wouldn't dare. But the reality is $250 once in that capsule to say, look, this life insurance is going to run out, et cetera, et cetera. We're having that low interest rates for too long, high enough at day one. And now all of a sudden the cash value erosion is faster than the level premium that they were quoted originally. And, you know, this combination can exist.
And it all falls into other things. So the Internal Revenue Code, tax planning, health insurance. It's amazing when I hear these financial advisors, Jay, and all they talk about is investments. I'm like, dude, that is such a small potato thing, man. That's like the kickoff in the football game. There's freaking 22 men on the field, you know, running, you know, 90 plays a game, and one of them is a kickoff. Stupid. Don't get me started, because I just
I'm just smiling, not because it's funny, but because sounds very, very familiar to a lot of my videos as well. So it's totally good. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, Jay, the water's warm. For people who do true financial planning, people want that stuff. And they all right. So Julie says, when hubby retires next year, his medical insurance, he's years away from Social Security and medical, and Medicare, 100%. So that's
what Julie is stating is what I've known. And that said, what we've discussed here on Health Sherpa covered California. This is an avenue that did not exist 18 months ago. Did not. You are out of luck in the sense of the amount of APTC has exploded higher for persons. And so in different ways for different age groups. So you're 59. What I'm telling persons is, look, your 23-year-old child who's just getting started, etc. And I spoke to someone in Kansas the other day. You probably would know the name, but Josh, but my point is that 24-year-old female, you know, we're not going to solve anatomical differences. Women are just more complicated medically. Sorry. You know, my late father, medical doctor, you know, as opposed to 26-year-old Josh and 26-year-old Jay, never went to the doctor. I don't know about you. I never did. But you can't do that as 26-year-old female. I'm sorry. You just can't. That's just, you know.
And that's a fact. And,
that's just, you know, real. We're not. And now, whereas I wouldn't have said, well, $200 or $150 a month is health insurance that a 25-year-old Jay would not have parted with. Right. I might have a very, very different attitude if I may have if I could bear a child at 25, you know, that is an entirely different thing.
And if you're getting the APTC, which, you know what I'm saying,
you can drop your premium down to that number.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of like, I'm in pregnancy realm. I get $150. Then my total out of pocket expense is $6,000.
Oh no, it dropped down to $3,000 because you get you see what I'm saying. So I mean, now this is a very different value proposition for every different age division.
It's actually incredible. It's interesting. All right. Is it hard to go from Medicare Advantage back to traditional Medicare? Says username schmoozername.
If you're Mr. Perfect, the answer is no.
Right.
It's easy.
Right.
The time to do it would have been before December 7th. You do get this extra time during Q1 that I mentioned at the beginning of today's conversation, meaning you can cancel Medicare Advantage during Q1 and return to original Medicare. You need to do things in the correct order. And the reason is you need to find out that you're accepted to medigap if that's the path you're trying to pursue first. First. Otherwise, you've canceled Medicare Advantage. You don't get accepted to medigap, meaning you have unlimited liability with no out-of-pocket maximum limit. That's the big picture. I would not want you to cancel without having the alternative already in place.
Yeah, 100%. And that means you got to be underwritten, most likely, because they'll say...
Yes, but there are exceptions. There are many exceptions here. People, crazy people who have little paragraphs in books about this, Josh. So I make not to be done unassisted, but there are side doors to get, and by side door, I mean exceptional situations, many of which are in the buyer's favor, but you have to understand how to navigate them.
Yeah, absolutely. And along those lines, can you change medigap plans without being underwritten, without medical checkup? In Michigan, and my man says in Michigan.
No, you cannot.
Okay. So, Kevin.
Michigan is not a state. States with exceptions.
Yeah.
Missouri, California, Washington, New York, for example. There are different state regulations which sit in addition to the federal rights.
Vaughn says Medicare G or high deductible G if you're healthy with an HSA to pay the possible high deductible G deductible.
Viable. This is viable.
Okay.
Basically is what I would say is that you can certainly choose high deductible G. The question for me always is, it's fine when you're 65.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Your mind, your body can take the admin. Right? Because one thing which does concern me to some degree, for example, the difference between Plan F and Plan G, there's no difference other than the fact that Plan G, you've got to pay the Part B deductible. The unspoken, which I have highlighted on a different YouTube video, is someone else is doing the accounting. What if the accounting is wrong?
Yeah. Because
that accounting is from your doctor's billing office over to Medicare, which is then sent out to a third-party vendor to reconcile, and then to be reflected on your Medicare summary of benefits. Because if the summary of if Medicare system does not know that you've satisfied the Part B deductible, the medigap carrier is not going to pay until that threshold's been reached. So under Plan F, that threshold was 0, so it was no problem. But now what happens since Plan G exists, we get this problem where someone goes to the doctor on January 2nd, and then they go to another doctor on January 4th. There's no way that on the 4th that the records correctly reflect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So medigap carrier says, look, we don't know that you've met the Part B deductible. We're not paying anything yet. So this, if you make it a bigger issue, then you can have the same thing happen to high deductible plans. That is my only concern. But what else you're saying? Viable depending on the state.
Okay. Denise says, can you talk differences between Plan F and Medicare Advantage? Anything jump out at you there?
Sure. I mean, I think that what you would say is, and I would say this is the biggest change in the book from the first edition was 2013, is that the difference has declined notably. Depending on your age, 12 times the Plan F premium can exceed the Medicare Advantage out-of-pocket maximum for a PPO.
Mm-hmm.
That exists. So the simple example, if you just think about it, $400 a month for medigap Plan F, that is on the horizon.
$400 a month per beneficiary?
Sure, that could be a number. That can certainly be a number depending on your location.
Woo! That's a lot more expensive. Okay, gotcha.
At 85, sure.
Oh, okay. At 8, okay, gotcha. Right on. Okay,
right. So now it's $4,800.
Yeah.
Can you find Medicare Advantage PPO with an out-of-pocket maximum at $4,800 or lower? The answer is yes. So now, $400 on Medigap with 100% certainty that you have to pay, right? Versus Medicare Advantage, which is $4,800 in the worst case, and less than $4,800 in every other case, which is not the worst case. It can start to be rational. We're not there yet, so it'll depend on state and the quality of Medicare Advantage, because the different qualities of Medicare Advantage across different states is different.
But that $400 is not for someone going on Medicare Part B right now, right?
No. You know, to give you an idea, Medigap, I would certainly call Medigap Plan G 115.
Okay, gotcha.
115, 125, 130 should cut it from the most of the United States.
Okay.
Can it be lower than that? The answer is yes.
Right.
Can it be higher? Yes, especially in those states with special rights.
Okay. All right, good. I was like, whoa, I didn't. Okay, good. Let's see here. Tor says, if your birthday is February of subsequent year, you need to be enrolled by December 7th of prior year.
No, if we're talking about Medigap or Medicare, right? Your first enrollment date, well, let's just say you're born February 2nd. Medicare begins on February 1st. Your Medicare Advantage, original Medicare enrollment is 3 months prior to February 1st. So that makes it what? November 1st of the prior year. That's the first day you can apply. The effective date would be February 1st of the year that you turn 65.
Does a person who's over 65 and still working with health insurance, does he need to have they need to apply for Medicare?
This is probably the most common question we get regarding Medicare. It will depend on
just keep it up there.
The size of your carrier. If you work carrier, the size of your employer. If you're the full-time employee at a large employer, you can delay. If you are the full-time employee of a small employer, the answer is you can delay, but the carriers are giving you very mixed messages. That is what you can do. That is very different than for sure that's what you should do.
Right.
Let's just take a quick example. Let's just say you can work at a large employer and have a deductible of $5,000 with a family out-of-pocket maximum of $10,000. But if you're the full-time employee at 65 and you need macular degeneration shots, you're going to hit the $5,000. And then you're going to hit something more than that. And now let's just say your premium for your health insurance is $200 a month. The math of money would tell you that individual Medicare would be notably less expensive, even if you have health insurance provided by your employer. There are 2 full chapters that I have in the book.
Right.
I kind of distinguish my book to others, which is that You need to think about all of these other people just like to put in their bottom drawers and my health, my employer pays. Yeah, but the issue is that as soon as I actually have to open the book and actually look at the details, at that point, it is more likely that Medicare contracts are superior to the interior of your group employer sponsored plan. The question then is price, and whether you're having that insurance for your spouse and other persons.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
And now today we spent an hour saying that, oh yeah, by the way, those other persons may be a lot cheaper using. Now what I'm saying is these different avenues, possibilities, combinations have multiplied literally at the snap of a finger over the last 18 months.
And you got to look at everything. I mean, you can't just look. And again, you can't. There's not one size fits all here, folks. I mean, if you got to, hell, even on Social Security now, we got older and older people having kids. You know, I was talking to a guy the other day who's got an 8-year-old child. He and his wife, and you know, she was 47 when she had him, and he's quite a bit older than her. So, you know, there's Social Security plan that goes on for a guy who's, you know, and a couple of years ago we never thought about that. All right, so I forgot her name, but she says, I'm going to be. How do you calculate your income in terms of qualifying for the APTC? What's income?
No. So Affordable Care Act available in all states. The answer is yes.
Oh, you saw that? Okay, guys.
Yep, that's federal. Calculated income is modified adjusted gross income. Yep. Now you need to be careful. There are some technical things regarding, you know, very specific passive types of income, for example, and how you go about that's quite technical. But to this person's, I'm going to be drawing money from out of savings. No, that's not taxed. It's not a taxable event. Obviously, capital gains, if you call it, okay, that was my investment account, then I had short-term, long-term capital gain, and then call that your savings. Okay, the gain part would be your income.
But it is modified adjusted gross income.
Modified adjusted. Correct.
So that's before your standard deductions. That's before, well, we don't have personal exemption right now, but that's modified adjusted gross income. So, you know, this is before you take your itemizations or your standard deductions, my friend. So that's why we got to keep that in. Well, we got to try to keep it as low. It's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, it's just how we have to plan now, Jay. It's insane how it used to be. It's crazy. All right. So Jay, got a bunch of people want to contact you. All right. That's good. My man. Okay. So here's this where it gets a little bit challenging. So he says, sign up for Part A anyway, because it's free once you're over 65. I mean,
let's be careful here.
Yes, I was going to say, talk to that.
And here's the reason. Yeah. You can't have for example, if you have an HSA and you're making contributions in here, you have a tax matter. Okay. Generally, you could say this could be the case.
Right.
However, large employers are encouraging high deductible plans and HSA. Some are sweetening the pot by putting contributions into it. But in addition to this, sign up for Part A. Let's say you retire at 66 and you didn't have Part A and you retire at 66. They actually are going to turn your Part A on retroactively by 6 months using a look back. So if that time that you had 65, you were making contributions, it could be the new calendar year and you can't go back into the time capsule. So I would just encourage people, just be very careful that they know what these components are saying. That's kind of why, you know, it's these kinds of details that I've written and spoken about, why if someone had to ask me when are they supposed to buy Maximize Your Medicare, you're supposed to buy it at the time that the first person in your house is 63. Right? Because you're trying to consider IRMA
at
the minimum.
Yep.
You can consider ACA at the minimum. So you can get extra by if you're trying to retire at 59. The latest, however, is when the first person turns 63.
And just be careful in Part A. So I mean, I know it sounds like because it is free because you already paid it under your hospital insurance FICA tax, but there's more.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I'm just saying that blanket statement is it's not wrong. I'm just saying it's not unilaterally the case in every situation.
Can you use the ACA coverage if you travel to a different state outside your zip code?
Far more complicated than the Affordable Care Act. Yeah. Because HMO, the answer is almost certainly no.
Yep.
PPO, the answer can be yes, but you'll have to check very carefully depending on the carrier. And then Medicare is an entirely different matter where PPO means federal Medicare.
Yeah.
So PPO under Medicare entirely better than Affordable Care Act, no question.
So the ACA, if you're traveling state to state, it's that can be yes, okay.
It can be.
That's what I was worried to hear about, and I imagine a lot of people are too.
Yes.
Ken says, and I don't think this is true, Jay, or correct, but is ACA credit taxable income? Probably not.
No, right? Not the credit, because remember that's the credit you're taking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the income. Right.
And so, Kevin said, okay, good. 100%. Okay, yeah. Good job. Good job. All right. Is a quote that you were doing on the Health Sherpa only for the current year, or is it means tested for each year? Oops,
so it's not so first of all, the quote on individual health insurance is not means test. That's the point. It is an income test. Okay. So if you have $1 billion and yet your taxable income is $10,000.
Yep, you're qualified.
It's not an exaggeration to say that I know farmers with tens of thousands of acres who have put on their thinking cap.
Yep,
that's the way the rules work.
Yep,
and their extended family, who are all employees of the farm, are at $200 a month when their farmland is $17,000 an acre.
Yeah,
that's the market price.
Yeah, I mean Elon Musk showing no income. All right, so Kim, let me just reiterate: benefits from Social Security, but remember how we figure out how Social Security, how much of your Social Security is subject to taxation.
Right. That's correct.
To provisional tax. So we've done lots of videos on this, but
yes.
You don't just say 85% of my Social Security goes to my modified adjusted gross income, because it might not.
Right.
This, I tell you, this is like we started this whole conversation with Jay. I did a 20-minute video showing how people can literally have 6 figures of income and pay like nothing. It's nuts if they just use Social Security correctly.
Right.
And everyone just goes into, I'm going to get 50,000 Social Security, 85% will be subject to income tax. I'm like, not necessarily.
Right.
It's frustrating because it doesn't have to be like that. But a lot of financial advisors, they'll just default 25% tax bracket. I'm like, why? Why are we defaulting that?
Right.
There's no. All right, let's keep going here. A couple of people knew about Yukon Cornelius and the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Okay, what does the IRS do if you underestimate your income? Says Marie from Pennsylvania. She's happy because the Steelers won. I know that.
You will have to reconcile your premium and the credit. You will end up having to pay it back. I don't encourage you to tell unintentional untruths.
Right.
Because that you are signing with under the idea of perjury, right? So errors, yes. Blatant misstatements, I can't encourage.
Is there a clawback penalty or something like that?
I'm not accountant. You would have to check on that and whether or not you'd be. Yeah, I mean, in theory, right? You'd have to pay the interest back on the fact that you've got this timing difference.
I would think there would be, but I don't know either.
Right.
B. Asmol says he's income, married, filing jointly. Can they still qualify for ACA if they're below 20K?
It can be the case. They need to. So depending on your location, this is actually a more, people ask questions, they look innocent, and then they've opened a can of worms, which I'm not saying this has been done intentionally. The yes/no answer is yes.
Yeah.
But if too low, your application will be referred to Medicaid. Your states, that can happen. If that happens, then you can't get Affordable Care Act, right? Because you can't be qualified for Medicaid and get the Affordable Care Act with the advanced premium tax credit. You cannot jointly do those two. You can't be eligible for Medicaid and then take the Affordable Care Act. So before you go down the path, and that's why that estimator is so helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Because now you can, and in fact, people get my guidance too, claim the amount of income just so they get the maximum APTC, but not go through Medicaid because they don't want to take Medicaid.
Yep.
Because their access to doctors, hospitals, et cetera, notably more limited under Medicaid.
Big time. Yeah. Is it possible to make a mistake and pick a plan that opens up a higher net worth? I think he's talking more of a, I'll just read it. Higher net worth person up to a loss, like a max limit to what they'll pay out. I guess he's saying I picked the wrong plan. They find out I got money and they're going to increase my max limit based. I don't get, because the out-of-pocket expense, the out-of-pocket cost, right?
Okay. So, I see what you're saying. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. So basically what's going to happen here is you've claimed too high in the APTC. It pushed you down into silver, which also created the lower out-of-pocket maximum. And then you've done so wrongly, or could, in theory, the IRS get all of that, including the difference in the CSR? The answer, in theory, is yes. I simply don't know whether or not who the persons were or whether they have the resources to actually discover this.
Yeah. That seems, don't take this wrong, Art. At the end of the day, I think we're trying to uncover things that really aren't going to exist that much.
Yeah. I wouldn't use error is one thing. Right. That you can defend.
Right.
But even if you made an error, if you made a serious error, then everything's on the table. Right. And you've got to think that everything can go revert back to the non-CSR numbers, in which case, if you've gotten the benefit of the CSR numbers, is that subject to payback? It can't be any other answer than yes, that would be subject to it.
So base is kind of like pre-existing conditions. If you quit your crappy old job, but you have pre-existing conditions, you can get on ACA, right?
You can. There's no pre-existing conditions, period.
That's one of the benefits. I hate the fact that it ruined the entire health insurance industry as we knew it before to provide for pre-existing conditions. And I'm being somewhat facetious there, but that's what they did. They wanted to cover people with pre-existing conditions because those people were in a world of hurt. I knew people who are very right wing, and they're like, "Man, I need health care. I can't wait for Medicare." And there's no options. So for them, Obamacare was a saving grace for sure. Now it sucked how it went but at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. And there's no pre-existing conditions. So if you're sick with whatever, and you can jump on the ACA, man, that's a benefit. And we can, I cannot stress enough. That is a benefit. All right, let's see. All right, just a bunch of kind of personal questions there. Right here. So
no one's going to change my mind. I'm about changing to the Bulldogs for New Year's Eve. No, that's a personal answer.
Well, I got to go for the Big Ten because I'm an anti-SEC guy, so I will go for the Big Ten. But I would love to see Alabama take it on the chin because I cannot stand Alabama. I just don't. I mean, my goodness, how ironic that Alabama ends up with Cincinnati. It's almost like freaking what's the name, Saban and Belichick again, and their little freaking witches brew. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why did Alabama end up with Cincinnati? Give me a freaking break, man. Yeah. All right, my man Bruce says, yeah, right on. Find the sweet spot between Medicaid and 100% subsidies, or something like that. Or I hate to say subsidies, accelerated tax credit. Do you take clients from Florida, Jay?
Yep. Okay. No problem.
Denise says, I'm not retiring on expiring anytime soon. Am I, John?
No, I don't think anyone plans on it.
You don't know my wife, Denise? You don't know my wife. All right. I think we're pretty all right. We already talked about overestimating income. What if you underestimate your income? That's a good question. So we talk about overestimating. We get a refund of AP. Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So Richard, you get a refund of your accelerated premium tax credits. Advantages over N over G, or of G N over G. Any thoughts on that, Jay?
On the paid Substack, I'll have very extensive comments. I would say that the camp is split. Camps may be split. For the record, I don't watch a lot of my counterparts on Medicare.
Yeah, man, it's funny. I don't watch many on mine on financial planning. Isn't that funny? I just don't.
I would certainly say I am not neutral. Not neutral. I would just leave that with you there.
Go to Jay Substack. It'd be worth it. And at the end of the day, I tell you, man, what's a subscription? $50, $60 a year or something like that, Jay?
Oh, no, way less than that. It's $30 a year, of which I've discounted it by a third, and it's free if you buy the pre-order of the book.
Yeah. So I mean, the point about the point about these subscriptions is not to get rich; is to keep the trolls out. That's what we're trying to do.
Exactly. Basically, that's entirely it.
I have a little bit of skin in the game, a couple bucks a month, and that's anyway. So my man Maynard in Texas, hey, 64, doing a large Roth. Should we delay part? You can't delay.
You cannot delay in Medicare enrollment unless you are fully employed and covered by health insurance. Now, it is interesting, maybe only to me, that one combination that does exist is if you're doing large Roth conversions or you have this reason and you are covered by some other source, that you're usually group insurance is weaker and more expensive. But due to the bracketing of IRMA,
yes,
could you be equal dollar and then preserve your Roth conversions? Wait for it for a couple of years, so that you are not subject to IRMA later. Now, that would take some work, meaning that would take some real thought about financial planning. So you can see, well, you may hear some squeaky gears in my brain, but this certainly goes into the mix when I'm thinking about financial planning for certain persons.
I just got to interject too here, because this is part of the questions that financial planners should not be answering. Because we don't know, are you covered by, and he said he was later on.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't know. I mean, so the question is, should we delay? There's no way for us as financial advisors to say that without question.
This is not the place for,
what I'm saying.
Ginnie Mae bond fund expert.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
And that's the challenge that you guys have, not just people here, but you want an answer to a question, but you're pulling on a string, man, and there's so much more intricacies, and So Kim was saying the deductible. Yeah. So every calendar year, Jay, the deductible starts up again.
Correct. That is correct.
Standard deduction is Mushke, your modified adjusted gross income is before your standard deduction or your itemization. So just keep that in mind. All right. So it is your top line essentially is what it is.
Yep.
Now, remember though, I cannot stress this enough. I'm just going to keep harping on this or harking. Your Social Security, if you look, I think it's line 5. There's 5A, your total Social Security benefit. And there's line 5B, which is your taxable Social Security benefit. Your total will never be your taxable. It's never going to be the same thing. And your taxable could be significantly lower than the total. And it's a taxable that goes on your adjusted gross income. It's not your total, it's your taxable. I tell you, understand this, because when you talk about this kind of stuff, I will grant you, at the end of the day, this is going to be apples for many people, because most people, when they're on Social Security, take a Medicare. But it is something to consider. I guess you were 62. I guess you have a survivor benefit. So if you have a survivor benefit at 60, that'd still be applicable there too. All right, so a lot of people pre-ordering. That's good. If we want to make Jay rich, I tell you, off his book.
Less than $1 a book. So it's not that.
Yeah,
I'd rather have. There you go.
Yeah, just because you have health insurance doesn't mean you have health care. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're probably pretty ready to that's a good question, actually. What type of ACA can be used as you split your time between 2 states, Ohio, go Buckeyes, and Florida? Is this realistic? That's going to be a tough one, right, Jay?
This is going to be a tough one. So here's your issue is that, you're going to have to be almost certainly on PPO. And even then, you'll have to be, you'll need, this is why the delaying does, you just can't like randomly choose it just as said PPO. You have to be careful here to see, because what has happened is these PPO networks, they have loose affiliations on otherwise unconnected groups. But just because it says Jim Bob's PPO in Ohio doesn't make it the same thing in Tallahassee.
That's what I'm saying. You have to do some grunt work there.
A lot tougher under ACA when crossing geographic borders. Absolutely.
It's probably the same thing with your employee plans too, right? I mean, if you're
the employer plan is the large employer plans, not as much, because actually all of the network, the definition of all the networks is different. An employer, the individual PPO.
Okay.
All sorts of crazy, but the reality is that Georgia, for example, is amongst the craziest of those. And I'm picking on you only because I know you're there, and it's almost like a lightning bolt. It's like, why is Georgia this complicated? But it is very, very complicated. Maybe because I'm not sure. Proximity to Florida, where we would expect it to be. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, someone's greasing the skids, if you know what I'm saying, Jay. There's always a reason for, there's my other dog. Oh, he's going to come in here. All right, we'll take one more question here if we got any. Kim's book is Maximize Your Medicare. And I guess that's pretty much it. All right, good. So Jay, is fantastic, man. When this actually shows up on YouTube, probably tomorrow, I'll put the links to all Jay's stuff in here as well. So if you don't catch it tonight on the chat, we'll put up in there. I'll put it up on the Rumble channel as well, for you guys to order his book, to contact him as well, to get on the Health Sherpa thing. I've actually run a couple times. It's real intuitive. It's user friendly.
Yeah, it's very friendly. It's at least gives you an idea of the ballpark so that you can understand that it's worth your while. You already know you don't want to go to the hospital without health insurance. That we already presume. We're not, but now you can see just how big it can be.
Big time. Good stuff, Jay, man. I appreciate you being here this evening. We'll do this again. We'll try to do it on a more regular basis. Jay and I were doing a lot of videos together when I first started out, and then we kind of fell off. We just
you got too famous, so
Yeah, I'm famous.
You got too famous when I was like leftover, you know.
Yeah, I was like, Jay, that's yesterday's news. But this is hugely important. So it's good stuff. And appreciate it, Jay. I'm going to let you go. And if guys have any thoughts, put them in the comments. We'll look for Jay's stuff. And like I said, by all means, reach out to him. And this is good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Josh, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Sir. See you guys. Thanks for being here. All right.
Go Blue.
Yeah, yes, I agree.